First of all, he talked about Joe Flacco trade. Let's go there first with the Flacco trade.
I don't care about no Browns. I care about my son. I like Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't give a darn about the Browns at all. I care about Shedeur Sanders. I care about him.
That, dude. ESPN special. The ESPN got their money for the week. There it is.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna be on that. They're gonna be on that heavy. Coach Prime said he doesn't care about the Browns. He only cares about Shedeur Sanders. See, that's the problem right there.
Right.
You know.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. You ever hear a comment so raw, so unfiltered, that it stops you dead in your tracks? That's exactly what Deion Sanders just did to the entire NFL world. This wasn't some casual throwaway line. This was a Hall of Famer, a legend, sitting in front of cameras and saying he doesn't care about the Cleveland Browns, not one bit. His only concern? His son, Shedeur Sanders. And let me tell you something. In this league, that's a bomb going off, because this isn't just any father sticking up for his kid. This is Coach Prime. This is one of the most electrifying players to ever touch a football, a man who has turned every program he's touched into a headline machine. And now he's publicly torching an NFL franchise that his son just happens to play for. Think about how wild that is. In one sentence, he turned the Browns quarterback room into the biggest soap opera in football. Why does this matter? Because Cleveland isn't just any team. This is a franchise that has been fighting for relevance for decades, clawing through one quarterback after another, promising fans that the next guy is finally the answer. And now, after all that, after trading away Joe Flacco and leaving the door wide open for competition, the biggest storyline isn't about their starter. It isn't even about their future. It's about whether or not Shedeur Sanders, the rookie with the NFL bloodline, is being disrespected, and whether his father just exposed the entire Browns organization on national TV. And here's the truth. This wasn't a polite critique. This was a direct hit. When Deion says, "I don't care about the Browns, I care about my son," he's saying out loud what a lot of NFL families whisper behind the scenes. Do I trust this franchise with my son's career? Do I believe this coaching staff knows how to build him up instead of tearing him down? That's the hidden meaning in every word. And coming from Deion, who's built his brand on loyalty, swagger, and results, it lands with the force of a sledgehammer. But let's not pretend this is just about family loyalty. This is about the Browns' reputation, about their ability to develop quarterbacks, to handle talent, to prove they're not still the same old Cleveland. Because if you're a player in that locker room right now, you're watching this unfold and asking yourself, does this team actually value the guy sitting next to me? Do they even know what they're doing? And if you're in the front office, you're scrambling. Because the last thing the Browns need is their rookie QB's father dragging the franchise through the mud on ESPN and every podcast in America. This is the kind of comment that lingers. It sticks to your image. It puts pressure on every coach, every executive, and every player in that quarterback room. Because now, no matter what the Browns do, people are going to question it. Is Shedeur getting a fair shot? Is this team blind to his potential? Or are they about to repeat the same cycle that's defined them for over 20 years? That's why this matters. That's why this is more than a viral soundbite. This is a challenge to the Browns' identity, to their credibility, to their entire approach to quarterback development. And for Shedeur Sanders, this is the kind of firestorm that can either break you or make you a star. And here's the kicker. We're only just getting started. Because if you think this was just about one press conference, you haven't seen anything yet. The fallout from Deion's words is going to shake Cleveland to its core. So where does Shedeur actually sit in this room? Not Twitter, not the debate desk, the room. The quarterback room in Cleveland where jobs are earned in dark film sessions, in quiet practice reps. After the Flacco move, the depth chart should have snapped into focus. It didn't. It blurred. It got political. It got Cleveland. And that's the frustration. Because on paper, the path is simple. Veteran out, next man up, clarity for the locker room. Instead, we're stuck in the fog. Is he QB2? Is he QB3? Or is he the talent they're stashing while they figure out what story they want to tell fans this week? Here's what makes it crazy. Shedeur handled it like a pro, heard the question, showed respect, gave Joe his flowers for the mentorship. No flinch, no side eye, no passive-aggressive shot at anybody. That's quarterback behavior. That's a young guy who understands the league's rhythm. Respect the vets, own the room, keep the main thing the main thing. Meanwhile, the temperature outside that room explodes because of his dad's comments, and suddenly the story is everything but football. That split screen is the entire problem in Cleveland. The kid is calm, composed, steady, and the organization around him can't decide if it's developing him or defending its own image. We've seen this movie before with the Browns. The timeline since '99 is a graveyard of almosts and what-ifs, a rotating door of the new guy, each one introduced with hopeful music and a press conference grin. Everyone gets a chapter, few get a real plan. That's the difference with Shedeur. He's not another lottery ticket. He's pedigree plus poise. He's lived the pressure lights since high school. He's learned the game from a Hall of Fame lab. And he brings a style that Cleveland hasn't truly had. Confident, rhythmic, surgical when the pocket's clean, daring when it isn't. Swagger you can't coach. Composure you can't fake. If the Browns are letting the young guys compete, then compete means reps, not handshakes, not headlines. Reps with the ones in red zone installs. Reps in 2-minute where timing and trust are born. Let the receivers feel his pace. Let the backs hear his cadence. Let the lines sync to his clock. If you believe he's part of your future, you accelerate the reps now, even if he's holding a clipboard on Sunday. That's how smart franchises bridge the gap. They stack invisible work until the public moment arrives. Kansas City did it with Mahomes. Green Bay did it with Rodgers. The outside world wasn't buzzing, the building was building, but Cleveland still behaves like Cleveland. Cautious when it should be decisive, loud about opportunity, and quiet about accountability. If Shedeur is QB2, say it and act like it. If he's QB3, explain the plan and why. Fans can handle a timeline. They can't handle a fog machine. And players? Players smell hesitation. A murky depth chart leaks into the locker room, and suddenly everybody's counting snaps and reading tea leaves instead of playbooks. Here's the bet I'd make. The poise we saw from Shedeur in front of the mic is the same poise that wins meetings, that earns trust, that survives the politics. He's not begging for headlines, he's chasing completions. And if the Browns don't recognize what they have, somebody else will. That's not a threat, that's the league. Talent finds a lane. So the question isn't, is he QB2 or QB3 today? The question is, who in that building is brave enough to make the right call before the moment makes it for them? Because the clock is ticking, and the next snap that matters could arrive out of nowhere. An injury, a slump, a spark. And when it does, you either have Shedeur ready, or you have another chapter in the curse. And that takes us to the heart of it. The critics, the noise, and the weight he'll have to carry next. The second Deion's words hit the air, the pushback came just as fast. Media outlets called him unprofessional. Analysts labeled it daddy ball. Fans flooded comment sections saying this was proof Shedeur couldn't stand on his own. And that's the narrative Shedeur now has to carry, fair or not. The fear that he's only here because of his last name. It's lazy. It's predictable. But in a city like Cleveland, it's dangerous. Because if there's one fan base that's been scarred by quarterback drama, it's the Browns fan base. Let's be real. The doubts aren't completely made up. Shedeur hasn't taken an NFL snap yet. He's stepping into a room that already has Dylan Gabriel, who's been hyped up by some as a system guy who could surprise and overshadowed by the looming shadow of Arch Manning, who everyone expected to dominate this class. Add to that the fact that Shedeur's dad is front and center in every headline, and suddenly the kid is judged before he's even played. That's a heavy weight for any rookie to carry, especially in Cleveland. The same franchise that has chewed up and spit out more quarterbacks than any other team since 1999. Think about the names. Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, each one once labeled the savior, each one eventually tossed aside. Different coaches, different systems, Same story. It's not just bad luck. It's organizational failure, a curse that seems to drag every quarterback down into the same swamp of mediocrity. And now Shedeur Sanders is sitting in that same chair, staring down the same history, while critics pile on and call his father's passion a distraction. But here's the thing the critics don't want to admit. Deion's skepticism is rooted in history. He's not talking about some imaginary bias. He's pointing at real scars on this franchise's track record. The Browns have a reputation for ruining quarterbacks because they've done it over and over again. And when a father, a Hall of Famer who's lived every inch of this game, says, "I don't trust you with my son," he's not just being dramatic. He's saying what plenty of agents, scouts, and even players whisper behind closed doors. He just said it out loud. That's what makes this so volatile. On one side, you've got the critics doubting Shedeur's readiness, doubting his independence. On the other, you've got a father calling out a franchise's incompetence before it can swallow his son. And in the middle, a rookie quarterback with talent, pedigree, and swagger trying to prove he's not the next name on Cleveland's long, tragic list. That's the tension. That's the curse. And unless Cleveland changes the way they handle this, Shedeur could either be the player who finally breaks it or the next victim of it. And that's what sets up the next chapter. Because if the curse is real, and every Browns fan knows it feels real, the only way out is through growth, breakthrough moments, and a quarterback who's built different. And that's where Shedeur just might change everything. Here's what separates Shedeur Sanders from the pack. The kid is built different. You can feel it in the way he carries himself. Calm when the lights are hot, confident when the pressure is suffocating. That's not just talent, that's DNA. That's the prime effect. And when Deion said that line about 95% of players playing not to get beat while only 5% play to make a play, that wasn't just some clever metaphor. That was him describing his son. Because Shedeur is in that 5%. He's not out there just trying to survive. He's out there trying to win. Think about the way he played in college. This wasn't a quarterback dinking and dunking, hoping to keep the ball safe. This was a guy taking shots downfield, trusting his arm, threading throws that other QBs wouldn't even attempt. That mindset doesn't vanish just because he's in Cleveland's system now. It's who he is. And honestly, that's what the Browns have been missing for decades. A quarterback who plays with conviction. A quarterback who doesn't look rattled when the pocket collapses. A quarterback who believes he can change the game with one throw. And here's the thing most people don't see yet. Being QB2 or even QB3 could actually be the best thing for Shedeur right now. Look at Patrick Mahomes. Sat behind Alex Smith for a full year, learned Andy Reid's system, and by the time his shot came, he was a monster. Look at Aaron Rodgers. 3 years behind Brett Favre, sharpening his edge in silence, then stepping in as one of the greatest we've ever seen. Even Tom Brady, buried on the depth chart, waiting behind Bledsoe until one hit opened the door. Sometimes the NFL's greatest stories don't start with fireworks. They start with patience, preparation, and a rookie grinding behind the curtain. Shedeur could be walking that exact path right now. Sitting in meetings, studying film, building timing with receivers in practice. No spotlight, no weekly media teardown, just growth, just steady sharpening until his moment arrives. And make no mistake, the moment will come. Because in the NFL, it always does. Someone gets hurt, someone struggles, and suddenly the clipboard is gone, the helmet's on, and the stadium belongs to you. The question is, will Cleveland recognize what they have when that moment comes? Will they nurture it, build it, let Shedeur unleash that 5% DNA? Or will they fumble it like they have with so many before? That's the tension. But here's where I lean hopeful. Shedeur's mentality feels too strong to break. He's not another name in the Browns' curse. He's not another wasted arm. He's the guy who grew up under a spotlight, raised by a Hall of Famer who's been preaching belief and swagger since day one. And fans, deep down, you can feel it too. This isn't just another prospect. This is someone with the guts to take risks, the composure to own mistakes, and the hunger to flip the narrative. Shedeur Sanders doesn't play not to lose. He plays to win. And if the Browns don't see that, the rest of the league will. Because the story of Shedeur Sanders isn't about where he starts. It's about where he finishes. And trust me, this kid's finish line is nowhere near ordinary. Here's the truth, and I don't care how you slice it. Shedeur Sanders is going to get his shot. It might not be today, it might not be this week, but in the NFL, the door always cracks open. Maybe it's an injury to the starter. Maybe it's a benching after another lifeless Sunday. Maybe it's the Browns finally realizing you can't keep pedigree on ice forever. However it happens, his time is coming. And when it does, that stadium is going to feel different. You'll know it in the energy, in the way teammates rally, in the way fans suddenly sit up in their seats. That's what happens when a quarterback with real juice steps under center. And make no mistake, this will be a make or break moment. The critics will circle, the cameras will be hunting for flaws, every incompletion will be overanalyzed, every throw charted, every body language breakdown turned into a headline. But here's why I'm confident. Shedeur has lived with those eyes on him since he was a teenager. He's been the story, the headline, the lightning rod, and he's never flinched. That calm we saw when he talked about Joe Flacco, that wasn't an accident. That's who he is. That's why I believe when his number's called, he'll be ready, because this isn't just about Cleveland. This isn't just about Deion. This is bigger than a depth chart. This is about a quarterback writing his first chapter in NFL history. The Browns can either embrace it and ride the wave, or they can drag their feet and risk being remembered as the team that couldn't see greatness when it was sitting right in front of them. Either way, Shedeur's story is going to be told. And when it breaks open, it's going to shake the league. Think about it. Every era of the NFL has its breakout. Jalen Hurts wasn't supposed to be the guy in Philly. Josh Allen was called inaccurate, a project, maybe a bust. Lamar Jackson, teams literally wanted him to change positions. What do they all have in common? They got their shot, and when they did, they proved everybody wrong. That's the club Shedeur is about to walk into. And if you can't see it yet, you will. So here's my prediction. Before this season ends, Shedeur Sanders takes the field in a meaningful spot. And when he does, he won't play scared. He won't play to protect. He'll play to win. He'll take shots. He'll trust his arm. He'll trust his preparation. And he'll show flashes. Flashes that remind you of why the hype has been so loud and why his father is willing to go to war in front of every camera in America to protect him. And I'll end this with a challenge to you, the fans. Do you believe this kid can rise above the noise, above the critics, above Cleveland's messy past and finally break the cycle? Do you believe Shedeur Sanders has what it takes to not just survive in this league, but to own it? Because I do. And when that moment comes, we'll all remember exactly where we were the first time Shedeur Sanders proved everybody wrong.